Danforth means to me a lot of just like kind of challenge in a lot of ways, because I think the community really challenges me to like improve myself and to be better.
Danforth has been a great like family to be a part of, and just like any upperclassmen that you see, like you immediately have something in common with them, and like it feels like you know them even if you just met them.
Danforth to me is junior dinners after even a year away from each other, sitting down all together, being able to share stories about living in the dorm together. It's about going on service trips together. Also just like catching up and realizing how many different interests people have and how you can all connect that back to, I think the word is empathy, and that's the biggest thing I've learned from Danforth is all the people who have different ways they express empathy and how that is so important.
To me, Danforth means a responsibility to be the best person you can be in college. I think that sounds like a really big responsibility, and like a challenge, but I think it's also really encouraging to have these amazing people surrounding you who are doing these amazing things, and it really pushes you to like live up to the Danforth, I don't know, to the Danforth promise, or like the amazing things that Danforth's done in the past. So it's really inspiring, but also a big responsibility.
So Danforth was a community that I knew that coming into freshman year would be there to support me, and I think people say that the college transition, it varies, but it's definitely very hard for me. It was hard for me at least coming here and not knowing anyone basically, but to have a Danforth community to be there that I knew had similar values as me, but also even in the little simple things, like I had someone to go to lunch with in Bear's Den, which was very daunting at first if you didn't know anyone.
So I think one of the mottos that is used in Danforth is my own self at my very best all the time, and just seeing that exemplified in so many Danforths, I think that really hits home for me. Like, this is what it means for me.
It's a responsibility. Not just a responsibility to the Danforth community, but a responsibility to the university as a whole. It's such an honor to be a Danforth Scholar, and I think sometimes that has certain implications, and we need to be willing to uphold those. Just respecting others, respecting their dignity, being a voice for people that don't always have a voice, because we are leaders on campus in so many different capacities. I mean, we're all involved in so many different things, and I think that's what makes us unique.
I think that's one thing to be challenged by a community, is that the community, it's an incredibly supportive challenge. I think that's what differentiates it.
Yeah, a lot of my very best friends are Danforth, so I spend a lot of my time with Danforths and thinking about Danforthy things. So yeah, it's kind of like a very large part of my world, and definitely community for sure. And that's essence. Community, friends, love, belonging, all of that.
I think just freshman year in general, living on the same floor as so many other Danforths, D2, it was great.
Stargazing in Minnewanka was one of my favorite things. Just because that was at the end of the Minnewanka trip when we were all really getting to bond together and know each other.
And we were also super exhausted.
Yeah, we were super exhausted, kind of delirious.
So we were sharing everything.
Yeah, looking like on our backs, looking at the stars on the basketball court, and the sand was blowing in my face. It was really painful, so I had to have Jackson like shield me, and that was
I remember that. Emily like laid down too.
Yeah, so that was when I knew they were true friends. It's because they shielded me from the sand.
Minnewanka, I enjoyed as a first year, like an incoming student, but I loved it even more as a counselor, because at that point you had like a year to reflect and like think about how you've grown, and think about how Danforth as a program and different people in the program have helped you, like facilitated that growth process.
We went to Chancellor Wright's house and we got to meet Dr. Danforth. That was really awesome. And I got to sit next to him at dinner, and just to meet the man whose name is behind our scholarship, it was really powerful to me, and it kind of, gave me a sense again like why I want to, like why I'm a Danforth Scholar and how I want to, you know, continue to make that part of my experience at WashU.
We just done so many things together. We've lived together essentially. We lived in Shepley in sophomore year as like the friends gang. We're like across the hall were the guys and half the hall were the girls, and we just like always we had dinner together all the time. So it's like there's not.
We just spent a week together in New Orleans.
We did,
Yeah.
and we went to Chicago a few times, and it's just been 4 years of memories.
Family, but also a hyphenated word, like that family of friends that you've been waiting to find for a really long time and finally have.
I would say authenticity. Like one of the things I love about being a Danforth is there's no one way to be a Danforth. Like you are chosen specifically for qualities that you yourself embody, and so by being your most authentic self, then you can be the best Danforth.
Love.
I'm gonna stick with my word of empathy.
And community?
Family.
Friends.
Love.
I think unconditional, and that can be taken however you want it to be. I don't know. I think just unconditional support, unconditional love, and just the ability to be challenged unconditionally, and being willing to be challenged, I think is something that this community really offers, because you're surrounded by so many incredible people. I mean, look at the room with the people surrounding you.
Talk to people and ask about their stories and try and find like those moments that were like game changers for them, because a lot of times that will reveal like something about Danforth that like you've hopefully picked up on already, but like sometimes those stories are like the things that will be like, oh, this is where I belong, this is where I feel like at home.
I would say don't be intimidated by the people around you, because that's what I remember was feeling like I didn't belong because all the other people were just so incredible, but like you were chosen for a reason to be part of this group, and you have the potential to do amazing things, and WashU and the Danforth community will help you do that. So yeah, you can do whatever you want and you belong here and you're here for a reason, so don't feel intimidated. Just you feel really proud of yourself and just do the best you can.
Yeah, and just if you're sitting, watching this video, deciding whether or not you want to come to WashU and be part of the program, it has been everything that it's been advertised to be. And like obviously, when you watch videos like this, you're going to get people who, get nostalgic and talk about, things. But it really, really, truly has been that wonderful experience for 4 years, and so it's definitely worth it.
Come to WashU.
Come to WashU, please.
We will be your family forever.
Yes, we just want to love you. We just want to have you and care for you and love you forever. We just want you to come be with us. Isn't that cute?